Hey guys, Seth from Seth David Films here. Part 3 of my series of what do I use for wedding days, and this one's perhaps the most important, and it's one that's constantly changing of what I use throughout the day. Oh, I forgot something. Hold on. Boop. All right, now I have it all. Forgot a vital piece, but we'll talk about that in a second because that particular piece I might be selling and getting the newer version of. Not because it works bad, but just because the new ones are so good. So without further ado, this is the gear I use for weddings in 2022 in May. It'll probably change in June, but you know how it goes. So first and foremost, everyone likes to talk about shotgun mics. I have two, and I think they are the least important microphones I have. The first one I got was the Rode, what is it, Pro Plus. The one that you plug in and it stays powered and you don't have to turn on the mic. Because I had the old Rode Pro that didn't turn on, and of course I'd forget to turn it on. This one is rechargeable. You can just plug it in with micro USB, or I think that's what that's called, but you recharge it, it lasts all day, never had a problem with it. But you still have to charge it. And there has been, I think I had maybe one shoot where this thing ran out of batteries. So then I went to the Sony. And I will not remember the name of this, but this microphone is awesome. It's digital, it has a lot more capabilities than this, and it also doesn't require any charging. It just takes power off of the battery in camera. This is my go-to microphone all day long, but I do bring both because on the side cameras for ceremonies, I keep both of these with a shotgun mic for ambient noise and just as another precaution. You never know. So it's better to have a shotgun mic than nothing. The only time shotgun mics are good is when you're close enough to the person speaking that they matter. So sometimes I have used them for letters or a speech or a prayer, but for the most part, these are not the most important. They are the least important part of my sound bag. The next thing I purchased that was probably the big step up was this little guy. One of the cheapest things in my bag. It usually runs for around 120. You can get them used for as cheap as $50 sometimes, but it's a Zoom H1N, or I also had the Zoom H1. And this guy gets you out of trouble in so many situations. You can plug him into a board, you can throw a lav mic on him. He's small enough, but he's also cheap enough that you're not afraid to kind of bang it around a little bit. It does feel cheap, but it works great. And the sound quality for what you pay is incredible. I have gone through, unfortunately, a lot of these. If you're wondering why I have the red one, it's because I've lost the black one, the white one, and the gray one. The next one that I probably use the most for final edits is this guy right here. The Tascam, I think it's the DR10L, I believe it is. Oh, I got it right. Tascam DR10L. And this guy is amazing. He is bulletproof. It takes a little bit harder of a push to turn him on, so it's very difficult to stop the recording. It records at 2 different levels. They are the standard for a reason. So this is, if I had to buy 2 pieces of, only 2 mics, I would get one of these and one of these, and you're $300, and you can get pretty decent sound for a wedding. Now, I have 4 of these, 2 blacks, 2 whites, and those aren't the only lav mics I have. I also have this guy, and this guy's kind of changing the game for me. This is the Zoom F2, and I have the Zoom F2 Bluetooth edition. And let's get into why I got the Bluetooth. The first thing, the reason why I got the Zoom F2 is because it has what's called 32-bit float recording. In a very similar way, this doesn't peak. And it doesn't get too quiet. You can raise it from whatever small wavelength it has and still get amazing audio quality. It's like Blackmagic audio. I don't know how it works. And the crazy part, it's only 1 wave file, while my Tascam has 2 wave files. So it's actually smaller amount of information, but somehow works just as good, if not better than the Tascam. Now, I prefer the Tascam just in build quality and some of the other things, but what this thing does is a game changer. And this will get me to my possible future mics as well, because 32-bit float wave files are the future. And that's what every recorder is going to be on soon. So this one gets you into that game. Now, the other thing I do is I use this Bluetooth function a lot. I'm one of the few, well, I don't know few, but Not everyone mics the bride. I do, and I use this little guy, the Ursa strap. It's got kind of like little rubber eyes inside. I put this on the bride's thigh or calf, depending on the dress. If the dress works for that, and I run a lav mic underneath the dress, and I use 3M stickies on the back and a felt tip to cover it, so there's no sound from the fabric touching it. And then I used to use a Tascam mic. The problem with that is I got audio that was sometimes 8 hours long because there wasn't a chance for me to get the mic off the bride. So it was a pain to sync and post. And you had these massive files of nothing until the ceremony and the speeches and the first look. I use my Zoom F2 Bluetooth because I can turn on and off the Bluetooth in a moment. And I use the white mic from the Tascam and I put it onto my Zoom F2. Still hide this in the strap, but then I have the white lav from my Tascam going all the way up, still the same situation, and then I can use my phone to turn off and on the audio throughout the day. I do have to say though that the lav coming with the Tascam was a better quality than the lav coming with the Zoom. And I don't know enough about audio to know why, but I do know when I use this lav as opposed to this, the sound is much better. So perhaps you do want to get a Zoom, but then you want to replace it with a more expensive lavalier. I do know that they are finally coming out with these in white as well. So if you're using it just for the bride, you could buy the Zoom F2 in white. Next up, I want to talk about what I plug into the board. Now, I already mentioned the Zoom H1N, but I also use the Zoom H4N Pro. And the reason is because this thing just has a lot more capabilities. If we want to get into business, this can power microphones. This can have 4 different tracks that you're recording. The possibilities of this thing are almost endless. So although this guy won't let you down, he is still only 16-bit. Now, the one thing that's kind of tricky with this guy, which has got me in trouble several times, is it's kind of a double press to hit record. And that has got me in trouble so many times. With this guy, is you just turn on, hit record, and you're good to go. The next tool I want to talk about is the Rode Go's. These guys are not necessary when you have a Tascam or the other lavs, but they are Swiss Army knives of sound solutions. There are so many times where I've been able to put a lav on this and put it on the priest or on a random speaker, or sometimes you can just even clip it or throw it in the pocket so you have some recording. And this one, the best thing about this is it goes directly to camera, so you're not having to deal with more files afterwards that you're syncing. Another thing I do often is I use this little felt thing, my Rode recorder, and I put it in there, and then the mic, you put the mic in here, and so you can't even really tell. And if you look at some of my films, you'll see that the person who giving the speech has this mic. And then I'm getting audio this far from the person's mouth directly into camera. So editing my speeches makes it way easier. A little warning on these run hot. So I always have it at the lowest dB on the unit, and then I have to turn down my cameras to about 10 or 5 out of out of 100. It's crazy. So you have to turn down your camera a lot, which gets you in trouble sometimes if you take it off as well. The next thing, you gotta make sure you have all the cords necessary. If you're running with just the Zoom H1 or the Zoom H1N, you gotta make sure that everything goes to 1/8 inch. So I got a 1/4 to 1/8, I got an XLR to 1/8, I got a VGA to 1/8. Anyways, you get the idea. I even have 1/8 to 1/8. So you're basically making sure that whatever the DJ has, whatever he can give you, you have that opportunity to get it into your recorder. If you have the Zoom, you have a couple more options, because instead of going into an 1/8 inch, you are going into either XLR input or 1/4 input. So then you need to have either your XLR to XLR or your 1/4 to 1/4 or your VGA to 1/4. So I have my nice little audio bag that I take with me everywhere I go that has a bunch of solutions, extra batteries, extra lav cords, extra stickies for the bride mic, even a pair of headphones. And just so you can see what I have, also extra mic holders to snap on. So in review, if I was brand new to wedding videography, I would probably buy my gear in this order. if this was year one for me, this is the gear I would buy in order from most bang for your buck, best value to get you that next level of audio recording. And it starts with the $100 Zoom to the $200 Tascam. Then pick up a shotgun mic. These can be interchanged. It doesn't matter. Then you get the more powerful, more capable recorder for the soundboard. Then you pick up a couple more lavs. And then you pick up, an extra shotgun mic and some other Swiss Army knives. But that is my setup. I hope that helps you guys. Thanks for watching. And until next time, good luck with your wedding shooting.